Yo, so I'll tell y'all about my experience. I'll share with y'all my experience regarding parallel universes. I'm not talking about hypothetical, I'm talking about actual parallel universes. So, human mind energy, right? You know that there's astral projection where people project, right? To some other plane of existence outside of the human body, what have you. If you're not familiar with astral projection, it's been done for ages, going back eons. The ancients would astral project. The Egyptians, I believe, they knew about it and did it. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it's by conscious thinking, will, that it occurs. And some people believe that you can train yourself, which I do believe, to astrally project. Well, some people have reported that when they astrally project, it's not just like an out-of-body experience, but they actually travel across the multiverse to some other type of plane of existence outside of this known dimension. Well, when I was young, I'd have these dreams, right? By the way, I'm One Sir Grove. This is C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. If you are true fans, and not just like, let's think about this for a minute. I've said flimsy, unreal, fabricated. I've used every synonym in the book almost here. What would be an unreal? What would be? Well, I guess if you're not cloned fans, you know what I mean? Like if you're not a clone, then we 495 most certainly appreciate you. No disrespect to like clones, you know, but I'm just saying, like, if the clones are here to be like false, you know, fans, then, you know, I ain't cool with that, and that ain't kosher. But I mean, if someone's a clone and they're a good clone, then, I mean, you know, welcome to the show. So, just being honest. I mean, look at what China's doing with gene-edited babies. Pretty sure that that's going to be the trend pretty soon, gene-edited babies. In fact, I think it is currently the trend. Like, you can have gene-edited children depending on where you live now, and they're designer babies. You just tell the doc what you want, and the doc programs the computer, and, you know, CRISPR fires up CRISPR and, you know, creates your baby based on whatever it is that you want. So, that being understood, so when I was younger, I used to have these dreams that were abnormal. And I was like, these seem a bit different than the other normal dreams. What I realized was that I was actually traveling, like, somewhere else. Because they weren't dreams where it would be, like, kind of foggy or, like, hazy or misty, you know, where you're like, where you come to and you're like, oh my God, am I dreaming? This guy has to be a dream. Or you just immediately know, you're like, okay, this is a dream. I know that I'm in a dream and I want to either enjoy this dream or leave it because it's a nightmare dream. But you instantly know, or it takes a while for you to know. And a lot of times you just like, you don't even know. You just like wake up and you're like awake, and then you're like, you know, sometime down the road, you're like, oh my God, you know what? I totally, like, it's been days. I totally forgot that I had a dream. Like, I didn't even realize that I dreamt about this or dreamed about this, depending on your English, until just now. I submit to you as One Sir Grove that humans travel to parallel universes in the dream world on occasion. Sometimes it's just a dream. Other times, you're in an actual parallel universe. I believe that is true. How it works entirely, I don't know that I know. But what I do know is that some dreams aren't fucking really dreams. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So, one of these dreams, say out of like 1,000, happened to be, and I've written them all down. I know, and I remember because I've actually written it down. I went back through my memory and I was like, all right, I'm going to write down on paper every one of these parallel universes that I've been to. and describe it in detail, that is. So and sometimes it's non-linear time frames as well. So it's either this universe in non-linear time or a parallel universe at a different time than what is now, like in the future or the past, if that makes sense. So sometimes it's this universe, but at a time that's before now or a time that's forward time, like in the future of this universe. Other times, it's another different Earth, because I've been to other Earths. Hashtag other Earths. Hashtag other Americas. It's in a different parallel universe of Earth on various timelines, or rather time scales, either before this time or forward time. That is the future of that parallel universe, if that makes sense. All right, now that we've established that, I'm in this one particular universe, and I come to, and I'm like, and it takes me a moment. I'm walking around this Stalinist, it was like a Stalinistic building structure, okay? It's this megalithic building. It's not what a building would, it was like the Mall of America, okay? Or the mall in, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Like the world's like biggest mall at some time, right? I'm in a building like that, and it's I believe at the time to be underground. It's subterranean. And it's mixed use. So it's like, it looks like it's administrative, like there's like maybe some government offices for like city, local council, federal. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what city or state or country. But it looked to be kind of European. And there's no one there. That's the other thing. There's like no one there at first. And so I remember walking through these very well-lit corridors. And I remember the interior, the walls, the floor, right? The floors, throughout the different levels. The wall was like some type of grayish material, and it was like a stone, kind of like a stone, right, of some type, and some type of sediment. And then the floors, I believe, were like very well waxed, like some type of tiling or some type of like granite that's just been highly polished with some type of like lacquer. I'm not a tiling person. I've studied crafts and textiles, but it's some type of like highly finished surface that looks like you're in a modern skyscraper office building here in, say, like Manhattan. It's like Rockefeller Center, like, you know what I mean? It's like top flight. And some type of marble finish, right? But it's not, there isn't anything, it's devoid of any type of, it's not decorative in any way. It's kind of bleak. Like, it's highly finished and polished up to the fucking max. And it's it's closer to like white. Like it's not decorative. There are no patterns or designs that I can see, right? As I go back into my mind's eye. And so then as I'm walking through these corridors, trying to figure out what's behind these different doors, I don't really see any kind of signage or anything. Nothing's written anywhere. And then I come to this like tapestry, this like open kind of airy, like kind of pavilion area. There's no one there, right? I don't see any tables or chairs or anything. It's just this kind of like open like area. And the ceiling's like, it's like this like tall like ceiling, right? And there's this tapestry and there's a figure. There's like a silhouette. Like I can't even, that was kind of hazy. Like there's some leader. And I'm thinking, man, that kind of looks like Hitler, but I don't know who it was. right? I couldn't make out a face or anything. It was just this like kind of fuzzy, like dark, and the light behind the tapestry, this big piece of fabric, it was like darkly lighted. And I was like, interesting, like why can I not see who that person is? But it was apparently some type of leader. So I keep walking, right? And there's red. There's also like some red color behind it. The light that is like illuminating the background of this, or the foreground of this tapestry on some level along the top of the tapestry and along its sides. There's some red to it. And I'm like, man, that looks like Third Reich type shit, right? But there's no one there, and I can't see who the figure is or anything. And it's way up on this, like, it's way raised up inside this like building, right? So it's not like I can walk up to it or touch it or anything. It's like, you know, it's like 50 feet like up, right? So maybe even a little higher. So because this is a big building. So I've actually blogged about this before. I actually have a YouTube video for this that predates the more I think about it. But I don't know how descriptive I was at the time. And, you know, it was when I was new to YouTube, man. So I probably used a really shitty microphone. And there may be more details in this. Because it just occurred to me. I was like, wait a second. I've actually discussed this before. This particular event. So now listen, it's not going to be some typical shit. This is an atypical anecdote that I'm sharing with you. And go ahead, please go. It's all you. And you stop, I stop. You go, I go. Pretty fucking elementary there, guy. Just driving, multitasking, flight navigating, you know what I mean? Rolling, dipping, sharing with y'all my experience in other realms. So perhaps you've had experiences like this where you're like, yo, that wasn't a dream. I was there. What the fudge? So check this out. And keep in mind, man, I'm not the only person on the planet who has shared these types of experiences. In fact, this is how I found out, honestly. This is how I found out about parallel universes. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch shows where they would enter and go to parallel universes. But quite, you know, frankly, I mean, before I understood time travel and before I understood more about the multiverse, did I think that parallel universes were real? Like if I were like with military grade biometrics being interrogated and they were like, when you were a child, did you actually truly believe that they were real? Yes or no? Answer the question. I have to think, man. Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. I don't know that I always believed that time travel was real. I never thought that it wasn't. Why? I don't know. Man, I've always believed that anything is possible. I don't know why that is. I've never doubted the existence of God, a creator. I've never doubted that time travel itself is real. Like I've never thought, well, I don't know, maybe time travel isn't real. It doesn't make any sense in my mind for time travel to not be real. That just never made any sense to me. I guess I just always assumed that there are other dimensions. I don't know if it's from something that like I saw or read when I was a kid. I don't know what it was, but I've never doubted it. It's never been like there's never been one time in my life where I've thought to myself, well, maybe there just aren't other universes. I'm just being honest, man. It's just always, I guess, the more I think about it out loud, it's just always made sense to me that there are other realms. There are other dimensions, man. There have to be. I don't know why I know that or I think that or I believe that. I just know. And I'm certain. And I've been there is my point. So, but I'm saying when I was a child on this timeline, did I think? And as I think out loud, yeah, I don't think there was ever a time when I ever doubted the existence. And now I absolutely fucking know at this age and I have been there. So that's why when people, look, let's talk about Andrew. I used to say his name Basiago. Some say Basaggio. I don't know how it's exactly pronounced, okay? I've heard two different pronunciations. Andrew Basaggio. Scam likely, fuck off, and perish. Fuck you, robocaller. Fuck you. I mean, robocalling just has to be bad karma, dude. It just has to be some bad shit. Like, the universe is like, it will let you do it for some time, but then after some time, like, there are gonna be some fucking problems, dude, some pitfalls. Remember that video game, Pitfall? Got you. Gotcha! A lot of y'all motherfuckers who are from the same era, you're like, oh yeah, Pitfall was a big game back in the day. Yes, it was. So, Andrew Basiago. Andrew B as in Bravo. The Seattle attorney who has traveled through time physically. Some people, man, on like Rational Wiki, they're like, yeah, he's delusional, and he's fucking insane, and he's a lunatic, and he's a total fucking nut job, like, that guy's so fucking stupid. And then there's that fucking kid. I can't stand that fucking kid. I think he's in the UK or somewhere. He thinks he knows all kinds of shit. He's a fucking wannabe debunker. Yeah, if you're listening to my show, you haven't debunked shit regarding John fucking Teeter or Andrew Basiago. Motherfucker, you haven't debunked shit. And here's why. Here's why I say that. The universe is very fucking strange. There's a lot of weird, strange shit, to say the least. A lot of anomalies, a lot of time slips, a lot of shit that is just fucking bizarre. Paranormal and on Real World X files. I'm talking about U.S. government, compendium, encyclopedia, set of encyclopedias. There are files on record regarding paranormal shit, like that fucking plane that took off from the runway, and then it returned to the same fucking runway like 50 years later. I don't, those of you who know the exact anecdote, I don't remember how long, 75, 80 years, can't fucking remember. But it comes back, it pilots itself to the fucking runway. This is a plane that disappeared, man, went off radar, and everyone was thought to be dead. Well, the plane comes fucking back, dude, and it lands, and the people are on board. And they're all dead. Skeletons. I believe that's a real thing that occurred. And I believe that it's happened more than one time. Just like ghost ships, man. They go out and then they come back. And it's like they've been gone for like 80 years. And then they come back and there's just like a bunch of like corpses. It's like, what happened to these folks? You know what I'm saying? Like real shit. So listen. I don't doubt Andrew's story because I don't know what he's involved in. I don't know what's up in terms of like what type of like deep black unacknowledged special access program he may or may not be a part of. But like Jesse Ventura, I believe, man, that there's something to it and there's something real about it. I don't think he made it all up. And if I'm not mistaken, he has multiple degrees from multiple universities. Now I know you're like, well, Grove, there's Asperger's, high functioning autism. And it could be that he's on the spectrum and, that he is just sadly mentally ill and he, believes these delusions. I'd be like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, dude, but he's a practicing attorney and he seems quite rational to me. Maybe not you, but to me, he does seem quite rational. Do I think he wants attention? I don't really think that's his shtick, man. I don't think so. Like Jesse Ventura said when Andrew was on Jesse's show where Jesse investigates and he goes around. I'm talking about the former governor and world wrestler, okay, Jesse Ventura. There's something to Andrew's story, man. The timeline that he talks about seems very real to me. The names that he has solid in his mind, he doesn't have to think about it, man. I don't think he's making the shit up. And the type of technology that he describes at length, it makes sense to me, man. The chronovisor, just the way he describes in full 3D, 4D, 5D, I know what he's talking about, man. Now, could there be another Andrew on another timeline and he's channeling? Perhaps. But one Andrew has time travel. I believe that. All right, so, sorry, I had to take a break and come back, man. What appears to be 20 minutes and 30 seconds was actually like an hour break. I had to go and run some errands, man, throughout some multiple cities and flight navigate. But yo, I'm back, man. So check it out. So this gotta put my seatbelt on when I'm flight navigating, dipping, rolling. Okay, so inside this building structure, I'm not gonna make this some big long thing because I've already talked about this before. But I got the feeling in the sense that, let's see, how did I feel? What was I feeling, man? I guess I was looking for people. You know, I'm marveling at the interior of this place, and I could smell it. I could like taste it, you know, the air, like I could feel it with all sensory like perception, like multi-sensory perception. So I knew that I was there. No, it wasn't a fucking hallucination, dude. No, I was there. And I know you've had these types of experiences, some of you, where you're like, yeah, I know, like I'm hip. And listen, they say that there are copies of us. Like the new thing in science is that it's pretty much a consensus in a lot of different areas of academia that we exist in multiple dimensions. Not to ruin it, spoiler alert, Cloud Atlas. I had to watch Cloud Atlas again the other night, and I was like, yo, wow, on point. So I know that there are copies of us in multiple parallel universes and dimensions. I know that. Science knows that. Academia seems to know that and be on you know what I'm saying, on point with that right now. Before, it was considered fringe. It was considered just wacky and like zany and like tinfoil hat. But now, physicists, reputable, leading physicists will impart that same information and say, yes, math states and tells us that there are most likely copies of us in the multiverse and that we exist in parallel multiple dimensions. Now, I don't understand this thing where these people, where they sit at these fucking stop signs for as long as they do. Okay? I just got in a different lane and I'm like, fuck it. I see there are 10 cars here and I don't know why it takes so fucking long for people to just go. Okay? There's a break in traffic. You stay in those lanes over there. If you want to be lazy and you don't want to turn your stick, that's fine. I understand. You don't have to turn your fucking stick. I'm going to turn my stick. And I'm going to get out of this lane with 10 cars in it. It's a lazy fucking lane of people who are waiting for other cars. Oh, the other cars in front of me, I'll just go ahead and wait for them, even though there's a lane to my right-hand side that's totally open. I don't feel like turning my stick into the open lane. I'd prefer to wait in society and be at the back of the pile instead of having the pole position. I'm like, fuck that, I'm pole position, motherfucker. I'm dipping, flight navigating. Watch this. Turn my stick. I mean, how many fucking pounds of pressure per square inch does it take to turn your fucking goddamn steering wheel? Hello? No, that's fine. You go ahead and stay in that lane. I'm in my own lane, and I'm outro, sucker. I mean, literally, dude, there were like 10 cars. Okay, there may have been 8 or 9, but rounding. 10 fucking cars, dude, just sitting there. We'll just continue to wait for the asshole who's in the front of us. We'll just wait for that person because we don't have anywhere to go anytime soon. We're so well off in society. And I'm not, and I don't believe that they are so well off. Maybe they are. But chances are there's someone there who's not so well off and fucking needs to get somewhere. And that person's like, hum to hum to hum. I'll just wait for other people. Because, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you, sucker, I'm out. So, So, back to parallel universes. Not that we've ever left. It is us. It's us. So, this building that I'm in, right? This building that I'm in, I'm there. Like, in the flesh, there. So I'm tripping like, yo, but I'd had other experiences like this before. So I knew that I was in a parallel universe. And I'm like, yo, I'm in another parallel universe. How did I get here? I don't know, but I'm fucking here. And so I'm looking around exploring, because when you're there, you got to explore. I mean, that's why you're there, for exploration of hyperspace, right? So I'm in hyperspace, man, in this fucking underground base, because I don't know, man. It looked kind of commercial, but like I said, it also looked mixed use. Like it was, I mean, man, it looked like a human society. Like it kind of sort of resembled in some way like an academic facility, like maybe a college or a university or something like that. Like I didn't see any armaments. I didn't see any fucking weapons. It's not like it was military, but maybe it was. Like, I don't know, man. I didn't see any writing, any lettering, any numbers on doors or like numbers or letters or any kind of writing or text. It was actually quite barren in that way. Like, there wasn't anything fucking, like, I didn't see any chairs, any tables. Like I said, just corridors and quite elaborate, right? And it looked very well kept. Like there was climate control. There was most certainly fucking, it's not like climate control. Sometimes my colloquialisms, I get a little carried away with them. I mean, there was climate control, room temperature. It was like perfect temperature, like normal temperature. And, so I'm walking through all these corridors just in awe, looking around, looking for some type of direction. Like, where do I go? Do I go left or right? There's a ceiling that as you walk through this corridor, I didn't see any like any slits for like windows or any kind of light. So I really kept getting this impression, this feeling that this was an underground facility. But then also I'm getting this sense that it's not on Earth. It's at least not this Earth that we know. Sorry, man, I had to take another break. That was another 20 minutes, man. It may seem just like it was nothing, man. Like it was continuous coordinates, man, which it is, but I did take a break again. So, all right, so check this out. So, okay, so I'm inside. Sorry, I'm trying to find some information as it pertains to wherever it was that I was online here. And you're probably like, what are you talking about, dude? You said you didn't know where you were. Okay, here we go. All right. I'm looking up some information on the internet here to make sure that I have this ready for you and the proper Latin spelling of it. There we go. Boom. Right there. Okay. All right. I'll get to that. What I just looked up, I'll get to that in a minute, and you'll be like, what? If you're not familiar with this anecdote, man, if you're not familiar with this backstory, if you don't know about this, man, I'm about to share some shit with you. So let me get back to it. All right, multitasking. Back in flight. Dipping, rolling. So I'm getting the sense, man, during this experience that because it doesn't seem earthly to me. It looks like I said, Stalinistic. It looks architecturally speaking. And I studied architecture a little bit, man. Like, I'm not a master of architecture or anything like that. But, I mean, I've looked at different books of architecture. This looked very European, very Roman, very Greek. I mean, there weren't colonnades or anything like that per se. Well, were there colonnades? There may have been some colonnades. I don't know if they were like fluted. I don't recall, but that just flashed into my mind. But what I do remember is everything was very rectilinear. It was very like rectangular and very blocky, like block shapes, right? Like it was just like straight edges, I think mostly. There may have been some, at some point, like a little pavilion area or an area that opens up with some type of colonnade, but it would have been indoor. It wouldn't have been outdoor because I saw no indication of like any windows or anything that led to any type of like outdoor setting. So this is all interior the whole time. And I had the feeling, the impression, though I could not see the entire layout of this building because then obviously I'd know the entire inner dimensions of it. I would know the dimensions of the entire building facility, and then I would be looking for a way outside, right? I knew that I was somehow transported there. Don't know how the fuck I got there. And I knew that most likely it was all just this internal interior of this building during the time that I was there to explore. I'm like, all right, I'm here. All right, here we go again. Let's get to just a strolling. So I'm walking around, I'm looking at, and everything seems like what you would see like in a shopping center, but without patrons, without like products to buy, without any type of visible signage, which further suggested and lent credence to my notion that, okay, this is Spartan in nature. I don't see any pictures of anybody. I don't see any humanoids, like humans walking around. There's no one there. I couldn't really hear any sounds. It was pretty like soundless. I mean, there was air, and it was obviously breathable, and it felt like Earth atmosphere, like so conditions that are suitable for humans, right? It felt like a human environment, but there's just no one fucking there. I didn't see any cameras. I didn't see any sensors. Just barren walls. Corridor after corridor after corridor. No pictures, no depictions, no inscriptions, no etchings, nothing in the way of like written communication. I didn't see any like access panels. I didn't see any okay, so now listen. I come to an area at some point where there are some windows, and I'm like, oh, there are fucking windows, right? And then this is for some time. I'm walking through this landscape for, I don't know, what seemed like, I don't want to say hours, maybe 25 minutes, a half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm just walking through corridor after corridor after corridor, and a lot of them just seem the same. And I'm like, am I circling back? Am I somewhere new? And I do remember, if I'm not mistaken, at some point there was a pathway that wasn't flat and level in the sense of like horizontal. It was diagonal. I believe that there was one area where the corridor, like it's at an angle and it dips, and it goes down even deeper underground. So regardless of whether that is a false memory or not, the point is the entirety of this place where I was, it really did just seem like empty. There's nothing there. So I don't know if it's because in hyperspace there are things there, but I'm only on some wavelength of that, and there are other beings and things around me, but I'm seeing like a suspended animation interacting with the suspended animation in time-space construct of what this building was. And so I'm on an interdimensional like plane of what is there, and there's actually more there around me. I don't know, but I know what I saw and what I felt and what I could sense and smell and like in the air, like taste. So my senses, I'm there, and I can see myself like I'm there. So at some point I see this like silhouette in this movement, and I'm like, there's fucking someone here. So I'm kind of elated, but I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like, so there are people here. There are humans here, or whatever they are, right? And it's this, like, what appears to be like a black African-American gentleman, as people say. And I'm like, and he's clearly, like, security. Like, I don't see anything that says security. There's no writing. Like I said, there's nothing written. But I just assumed that dude was some type of security. He looked like a security sentry. He was wearing black, some type of like black, like watchman's gear, right? Like some kind of black, like tactical gear. And he seemed like, he looked, without knowing, He looked like he might have some type of military training or background. He just looked kind of like the military type, but it didn't appear that he was necessarily like military. I didn't see any insignias. I didn't see any kind of like decals or writing or any kind of like ensign anywhere around this area, right? Like in the different like spaces. So at this point in this area that I come to, there are windows, and there appears to be some type of like almost kind of like Venetian blinds, or like the windows are somehow they're you can see through them, but there's some type of material behind them so that you can't entirely see what's in those spaces, right? Kind of like I couldn't make out the face or the image of whomever it was on the tapestry. So I see this dude, and he's like creeping around, and I'm like, yo, do I make my presence known to this motherfucker? Or do I just like stay kind of in the shadows? Because it was kind of like, I was like, oh shit, whoa, what the fuck? And I'm like silent, like, what? And I'm just like observing, like silently, like I just stood there like kind of motionless. And I could see him looking through like windows and like he's doing a security detail, right? Like he's doing a security check. And so then at some point, I'm like creeping and I start to move, and then he notices me. And he's like, hey, you. And I was like, and he's like, stop, or like, you know, and I'm like, and I just like kind of confront him as he's trying to confront me. And I'm like, you know, what's up, man? Like, you know, like, hello? And so it turns into this tussle with him, right? Like a physical tussle. And it's really weird, man, because we're like fighting like physically, right? He's like trying to like hold me and like detain me and like stop me from like moving, right? And I was able to maneuver around him. I mean, he was like, it's kind of weird, man. He wasn't even really, like that's what's so weird. Like he was moving his body, but he didn't feel like necessarily like strong. Like he looked like physically fit, but I just kind of moved around with him and we kind of tussled. And then at some point he's like, we just kind of like separated from each other, and he tells me that I'm wanted. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And he's like, no, it is true. You were wanted. And I was like, man, you're mistaken. I don't even know who you are or what this place is. And he tells me that I'm wanted. Check this out. He tells me that I'm wanted for Aphenozomenon flas aqui. Aphenozomenon flas aqui. I looked it up, man. I've talked about this before. This is not the first time that I have blogged or discussed this in podcast, YouTube format. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dude talking? So he tells me that I'm a known trafficker and that I'm wanted for detainment. And I'm like, dude, what are you? And then I'm literally like talking to him like I'm talking to y'all, like using the colloquialisms. I'm like, man, listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know what this fucking place is. He's like, yes, you are aware. And he sounds not human, right? And I'm like, listen, man, I've never seen you before. I've never been to this place. You don't fucking know who I am. And whatever you're talking about, it's somebody else. Like, it's not fucking me. I might look like someone, but it is definitely not me. And I am not involved in any type of illegal activity. And he says, no, yes, you are. You are wanted for trafficking blue algae. He tells me that I'm he told me that I was trafficking Aphenozomenon flas aqui. That's what he told me. And I'm thinking, Aphenozomenon flas aqui? What the fuck is that? Like, I don't even know what the fuck that shit is. He said I was wanted for, and he stands there, and he's like standing in this like position of like pseudo authority, like, you must come with me. You are wanted. And this is after we just tussled with each other, right? And And I'm like standing my guard, and he's like standing there like, you know, with his like hands like he's about to like come at me again if I don't comply. And I'm like he's challenging me, man. And I'm challenging him. And I'm contesting what he's saying. And I'm just like, dude. And I'm like talking with my hands. I'm like, listen, man, you're fucking tripping, bro. Like, I don't know you. I don't see a name badge. I don't see anything that says security. I don't know what this facility or this place is. And he's just he looked like a black African-American, like black gentleman with like perfectly like short, like buzz cut hair, like military, but not necessarily military, more like private sector security. And he just had all black like gear that you would see like a night watchman, but he didn't have a gun. He didn't have a badge. He didn't have any type of, that I could see, like utility belt that might have like this or that, right? He didn't have any of that shit. He's just like wearing all black of some type of like nylon-ish like material. And I don't even believe that he had like a tactical vest on. It was just like black, like heavy duty, like night watchman's gear. And like black, like, you know, tactical like boots to bat. And he had kind of like a jacket, like a jacket over the top of some durable material, kind of like flight gear. And you know, he's just like his skin, everything just like looked perfect, right? And I'm like, this isn't a real human. It's not a real human. Like, this is a humanoid, but is this dude like robotic? Like, what the fuck is? And he's like, you understand, you are aware, you know that you are wanted for this. This is illegal. This is a violation. And I'm like, dude, he said, Afenazomenon flas aqui, and that I'm a known trafficker. Check this out. He said, I'm a known trafficker on that planet and other planets. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you smoking? And he's like, yes, you must come with me. You were wanted for this offense. And it occurred to me that everything he was saying was some type of computer program. And I'm like, why do they think I'm this other person that's trafficking, assuming that what they're saying is true in terms of some other individual that's I mean, there's no fucking humans that I could see. This is the only entity that I've encountered after having been in this like underground lair of whatever this fucking facility, place, whatever it was, right? There's nothing there that I can see. And I'm like, there's no one here. Like, this guy could be any fucking buddy just blowing smoke up my ass. I'm not going to fucking go along with what this dude, okay, take me to your leader type shit. I'm just like, no. So I just tell him straight up. I said something to the effect of, I do not agree to any such terms, and I am stating that I will not comply. And I told him flat out, I am stating that I will not comply. And I tell him that none of the information applies to me. I said all said information is non-applicable. I am not the individual in question, and I will not comply with your orders and your instructions. And as soon as I said that and emphasized it, reiterated it a couple of times, he like was blank. And I was like, oh, I figured it out. Like, he shut down, kind of sort of like a robot, like right in front of me, when I told him that I was not the individual. I had been explaining that to him. But when he framed it as if it were a contract, this is what's so weird. The information that he presented to me at some point sounded like a contract. And I'm like, he thinks that I'm going to comply with him because of some type of contractual agreement. Like some type of like Roman-esque, like Western civilization based like common fucking law, like British, like New Rome type shit. And I'm like, nah, dude, fuck you. And then I just explained to him in plain English that the information that he was stating was null and void, and it did not apply to me, and that I would absolutely not comply. I would not comply under any circumstances whatsoever. And I made it known several times in a row. And then he stopped like a robot. And he just went blank. And he just kind of like the tension in his body that he had, he just like, just relinquished it and was just like standing kind of like at attention. And then I was like, oh shit, I figured it out. And then it was just like, whoop, I woke up and I was like, dude, what the fuck? And I remembered he said, Afenizomenon flazaqui. And I was like, and I came to, man, like I had no breath. And then I was like, and then I like came to. And I was like, man, what the fuck? I go to the internet and I look it up. Computers on, laptops on. I just, the screen was dimmed. I just like activated the screen with mouse cursor, password, logged in, typed it, and it came up right here, man. Afenizomenon flazaqui. This is many years ago. I've never heard of Afenizomenon flazaqui. I've never heard that stated, said, uttered, spoken anywhere in space-time. Why would my subconscious mind, for those out there that are like, well, I'm a rational skeptic, and you must have seen that. So I've never seen Afenizomenon flazaqui in my lifetime, anywhere. Anywhere in any type of written text whatsoever. So it says here, and don't get me started with the fucking Mandela effect, okay? Don't get me fucking started about what I know from another timeline and this particular timeline. Okay, it says right here, it says, Afenizomenon flazaqui has both toxic and non-toxic forms. Most sources worldwide are toxic, containing both hepatic and neuroendotoxins. Okay, most cyanobacteria, including Afenizomenon, produce BMAA, a neurotoxin amino acid implicated in ALS, Parkinsonism. So, like Parkinson's, Parkinsonism, okay? Toxicity of A, as in the letter A, flazaqui, has been reported in Canada, Germany, and China. Afenizomenon flazaqui is known to produce endotoxins, the toxic chemicals released when cells die. Once leastalized and ingested, these toxins can damage liver and nerve tissues in animals. Okay, in areas where water quality is not closely monitored, the World Health Organization has assessed toxic algae as a health risk, citing the production of anotoxin A, saxitoxins, and cylindrospermopsin. Dogs have been reported to have become ill or have fatal reactions after swimming in rivers and lakes containing toxic A flazaqui. Microcystine toxin has been found in all 16 samples of flazaqui products sold as food supplements in Germany and Switzerland, originating from Lake Klamath. 10 of 16 samples exceeded the safety value of 1 microcystine per gram. Microcystine. University professor Daniel Dietrich warned parents not to let children consume A flazaqui products, since children are even more vulnerable to toxic effects due to lower body weight, and the continuous intake might lead to accumulation of toxins. Dietrich also warned against quackery schemes selling these cyanobacteria as medicine against illness such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, causing people to omit their regular drugs. Let's see. So it says that a Canadian study studying the effect of A flazaqui on the immune and endocrine systems as well as on general blood physiology found that eating it had a profound effect on natural killer cells, NKCs. A flazaqui triggers the movement of 40% of the circulating NKCs from the blood to tissues as a food supplement. Some compressed tablets of powdered A flazaqui cyanobacteria named as blue-green algae have been sold as food supplements, notably those filtered from Upper Klamath Lake in Oregon. See also. Spirulina dietary supplement. All right? As a dietary supplement, there it is. Spirulina tablets, frozen alive. Spirulina or living spirulina is a biomass of cyanobacteria, blue-green algae that can be consumed by humans and animals. The two species are Arthrospira platensis and A. maxima. Cultivated worldwide, Arthrospira is used as a dietary supplement or a whole food. It is also used as a feed supplement in the aquaculture, aquarium, and poultry industries. So, do I have a double on some planet, some other dimension that is trafficking flaws aqui? A phenozomenon flaws aqui? Well, according to that fucking humanoid whatever thing that dude was, that system there believes that I'm a trafficker of that. Now, listen, hyperspace is weird, man. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The only thing I can deduce is that in some system somewhere in the multiverse, this is a dietary supplement in some way that's considered illegal because maybe they keep people malnourished. Maybe they want for people to be sick so that they can control them as slaves or some shit. I don't know. But I'm supposedly on some other wavelength of reality in some other dimension, man. I'm trafficking this shit. Why would the human mind make up all this information if this were just some elaborate, like, trick of the brain as psychiatrist? Oh, it's, see, Mr. Grover, what you have experienced is escapism. This has to do with childhood fears, and this is your way of escaping. Traveling to other fantasy, delusional, parallel universes. And I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy. Why don't you say that to Mr. Andrew in Seattle? And tell him the same fucking story. Listen, there's something to Andrew's story, man. The way he explains it, man, I could easily be a fucking psychologist. I mean, dude, I work in counterintelligence. As a contractor to the U.S. intelligence community. And, listen, man, I can look at the logic tables and I can see the mathematics. I can see the truth and the false. Okay? The true and the false statements. Truth, falsity. True, false, tables, statements, math, probability, statistics, statistical analysis, right? And when I look at that information, the information that is broadcast, that is imparted by way of Mr. Andrew Basiago, as I say, or Basaggio. I've heard it different times, different ways. There's something to it, man, and Jesse Ventura seemed to believe so as well. Now, again, has he physically traveled to parallel universes? You might be like, bullshit, Grove. You're fucking tripping. So is he. He hasn't. You haven't. Hey, man. That's your opinion. A lot of the shit that he talks about, man, adds up, and it makes sense. There's something to it that makes sense. And what I get from him, I don't really think he's making it up, man. Why do I think that? Well, because I've seen some shit, man, I've seen some shit regarding the government, man. And the government seems like, I know his shit sounds like fantasy, man, to some people, and on some levels when he explains this experience about his dad and DARPA and how his, father took his hand and, the chronovisor. I know it sounds very Disneyland-ish. It sounds like a magical, like a trip to Tomorrowland. But I'm not really laughing, man, because some of it makes fucking sense. And I don't think he's making it up. It comes from somewhere. Now, let's suppose for a moment he thinks that it's made up, and he is intentionally telling this deliberately created story. He's just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have fun with the world, and I'm going to be the center of attention, and I'm going to make up this fantastic fucking story because, I don't know, something about my childhood, and it's just going to be fun, man. I'm going to earn a bunch of degrees, man, and then I'm going to tell the world that I'm a time traveler, and I'm going to see if people fucking challenge me on that or not. Yeah, I'm going to tell them that I physically traveled through fucking time, and it's going to be one hell of a ride. It's going to be so fun, and I'm going to get the media involved, and they're going to be like, this attorney practices law, totally rational man on all other accounts, but seems to believe that he's a time traveler. Yeah, I don't think he is what these people in media say. So let's suppose for a moment, hypothetically, that that's what he's done. He's created this escapist reality, right? Some delusional fantasy fucking world. Now, keep in mind, delusion's different. We're supposing that he doesn't actually believe it and that it's made up. Only in this hypothetical scenario context. Here and now. What if I were to say to you, even though he's created this false reality, in the hypothetical like scenario in which he creates a false reality, and he does it knowingly, willfully, intentionally, deliberately, purposefully, right? What if he thinks that he's created this imaginary world, and he wholeheartedly, like, you know, the gov come to him and these experts, and they're like, look, dude, you know, we know you made up this story, dude, for like attention. Okay, can you just admit it now? And he's like, all right, you guys got me. I just wanted to see how fucking far I could go with this thing because it's entertainment. It's fucking fun, you know? People write books. They make movies. You know, I'm just doing the same thing, dude. I'm just an actor. Yeah, I'm an attorney with a bunch of degrees, and I don't believe in time travel myself. You know what I mean? What if he really does exist on another time frame of reality? And what if everything that he believes that he made up is actually fucking factual and true? Yet in his human mind here on this timeline, he thinks it's all bullshit. He's like, dude, I'm just conning people, dude, just for fucking purely selfish, you know, like, got him, you know? They think that I really believe the shit that I'm talking about, but I really fucking never did. Yeah, suckers, right? And people are like, yeah, see, I knew he fucking made it up. I knew it was all concocted. Well, what if it's not? What if he's actually pulling from somewhere? Like he's drawing from something that is another reality where this shit really has happened, and his doppelganger in another universe of Earth is actually part of some DARPA shit, and he is time traveling. And he's just consciously unaware of it.